Transmitter device activated. Coordinates set for Earth 2.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Earth 2 podcast, your weekly exploration of the DC Comics multiverse and the legacy of their Golden Age characters through the Silver and Bronze Ages of comics. I'm Peter Watson.
And I'm David Steele. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. No messing about. This week we're doing issue 59 of All-Star Comics, picking up from last week where we did issue 58 of All-Star Comics. 59 published on the 16th of December 1975. And Peter is now going to tell us about the cover.
We have, as is the usual case in this era, the cigar band at the top. With some of the roll call of the issue we have
Dr. Fate,
The Flash, and Wildcats. I love the little headshots of those guys. A small All-Star Comics logo, the line of DC Superstars, in the centre. And a jagged, very exciting caption reads, "This is it! Brainwave Blows Up!" 25 cents, number 59, April, and the number is 30417.
House,
if you care about such things. The Justice Society of America in All-Star Comics with the Super Squad. That whole thing takes up the top third of the cover. Gasp, there's hardly any room for anything else. The main image on the cover, we are in some sort of control room, it looks like. In space, perhaps? Are we on a satellite, a space station? We don't know. There is a giant statue. It kind of looks a bit like Captain Triumph, maybe? Or Stripesy, perhaps, without the stripes. But he's grey. Anyway, obviously he's made out of stone.
I was thinking Iron Monroe for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
But that's because I mentioned Young All-Stars to Shag the other day. What does that mean, listeners? You'll have to wait and see. You might already know by now, actually.
Yeah, it does actually look like him as well. And he's punching out Jay Garrick, the Flash, whose helmet is flying off. That seems to be a running theme here. Jay's helmet seems to always be flying off in these stories.
Listeners, here's a new one for you. Take a drink anytime Jay's helmet is knocked off. There we go.
This giant statue also appears to be grasping Power Girl. She's hanging upside down underneath his arm. My goodness, she looks absolutely shocked. Yes. Running in from the background are the assembled members of the GSA and the Super Squad. We have, from left to right, Hawkman, Star Spangled Kid, Dr. Midnight, Alan Scott Green Lantern with his power ring in his right hand, and Wildcats.
Yes, Brave and the Bold, Stalwart, and Super Team Family, Co-Conspirator, Wildcat. Yes, I've just thrown my copy of All-Star 59 out the window because Alan's ring is on his right hand. So, listeners, if you give me a minute, I'll just have to go downstairs and get it. And, right, okay, sorry. Better breath. Yeah, I was reminded of this one that when everyone is sort of running towards at that low angle, it reminded me of the cover of JLA 123.
Oh, yes,
Sort of thing you could do a montage of. But yeah, it's quite cool. It's quite dynamic. It's a nice central image with a lot of dead space behind it and all that text filling up so much. You know, that was like a whole third of the cover is just taken up by text, and it's going to be interesting to monitor that as we go on and see how long that is the case. So,
yeah, the big energy pow effect of the fist hitting Jay in the face kind of looks like a bullet hole in the middle of the cover. It's right bang centre.
Yeah, and refreshingly, there is not a Thorpe and Porter price stamp right in the middle of that Flash type thing on the cover of my copy. On one of the late great Peter Root's expeditions to America, when he went over to Gary Dolgoff Comics in the States to buy stock for City Centre Comics, there was one year, it was summer 93, he came back and he got me a whole chunk of issues of All-Star Comics and Freedom Fighters, and I'm pretty sure, going by the almost pristine condition that this is in, this is one of the ones that he brought back.
Superb.
It might be the second time I've read it in 32 years. So, we jump straight in then, shall we? An opening splash panel, quite a lot going on, but we begin, as you'd expect, with even more captioning.
The All-Star Super Squad faces destruction when Brainwave blows up.
And we see Brainwave, who we met last week, if you remember. New version of Brainwave with his blue leggings and red boots and red shirt. Remember we said he was like a cross between Orion and someone else. Who did I say?
Light Ray.
Yes, kind of cross between Orion and Light Ray. Red top, blue circle in his chest with a yellow wiggly line. He has a sort of weird blue headdress and manic eyes which look as though he's cut a ping pong ball in half and sharpied a dot onto each one and glued it onto his face. Blasting from his head are a handful of jaggedy pink lightning bolts which are striking in turn Dr. Fate, Wildcat, Dr. Midnight, the Flash, Hawkman and Green Lantern. There's all sorts of scientific apparatus around, and as he's striking our heroes, Brainwave is yelling,
Die, Justice Society! Die!
There's a quick caption.
Far above the placid green hills of Earth 2, a bizarre scene erupts into fury as the madman called Brainwave lashes out at his most hated enemies and destroys them.
And there's a roll call scroll caption, the sort that we really like on this podcast, which reads,
Hawkman,
The Flash,
Green Lantern,
Wild Cat,
Dr. Fate,
Dr. Midnight,
The Star-Spangled Kid,
Power Girl,
Robin.
and then we get the credits.
A Tale of Fear and Loathing, told by Jerry Conway, writer-editor, with an assist by Paul Levitz, Rick Estrada, designer, Wallywood, artist. So much for the credits. Now, let's see some action, says the caption.
So yeah, Brainwave has just blasted the stalwart JSAers. That's quite a narrative leap from the end of last week's episode, listeners, obviously, because as issue 58 finished, Power Girl announced that Brainwave was responsible for all the stuff that was happening. First panel of page 2, Wildcat is saying, Talk is cheap, Buster. Me, I eat guys like you for breakfast. He breaks off as Brainwave punches him in the chops, saying,
Your wit appalls me, Wildcat. I expected more from you JSAers. Much more.
and at that he zaps Green Lantern again as a nice expressive
Crash!
sound effect, and Brainwave continues,
Yet it seems I'm to be disappointed, even by you, Green Lantern. Sad, isn't it? How helpless you are against my peerless psychic blast.
and GL goes down. Brainwave flexes in celebration in the next panel, showing off the guns as he looks down at all the heroes saying,
It almost moves me to pity. Almost. Well, friends, surely you haven't admitted defeat. There's still a chance you can destroy me. Small, I admit, but a chance nonetheless.
We see Green Lantern stretched out on the ground, Wildcat on his back, Hawkman on his haunches, trying to straighten up, Flash and Dr. Fate trying to recover, Dr. Midnight trying to assert himself, and Brainwave keeps going.
No answer? Now that is a pity. For I've so very much enjoyed our little game, and I'll hate to see you go. But go you must.
And as he says that, we see the members of the JSA growing translucent and fading from view. What's going on?
Since you are, after all, only images created by my most remarkable brain.
Oh, well, there we go, listeners. It wasn't the real JSA. We then see there's another person standing in the room, a very small-looking man wearing a brown overcoat, the brown hat pulled down low over his face, casting his eyes in shadow, and he's hunched over, using a walking stick. Kind of reminds me of New Adventures 7th Doctor Sylvester McCoy, to be honest. Brainwave spots him with his eyes popping. These eyes are hilarious. That should be your Halloween costume this year, Peter. You should go as Brainwave. And this person we've just noticed says, Are you done with your playing, Brainwave? Please, can we begin?
Eh? Oh, it's you, old friend. Have I kept you waiting?
Waiting is all I have left, old friend. Brainwave puts a hand on this shifty-looking chap's shoulder, and we can see that they appear to be in some kind of orbital satellite, because out the window, take a drink, listeners, because we can see the moon, there's a view of the Earth and the sun. There's all sorts of equipment and screens all around them. Brainwave gestures round the room, saying,
Of course, of course. I've been selfish, attending to my amusement before dealing with you. You'll forgive me, old friend, won't you? Of course you will. We need each other, you and I. Alone, we are nothing. But together...
Together, we can rule the world. That's another Take That song getting mentioned in the dialogue. What is going on? Anyway, there's a quick, slow dissolve and a caption reads,
Puzzled, reader? If you are, you must have missed our last issue. But don't worry, we'll fill you in. For example, let's introduce 3 of our heroes, now approaching the headquarters of the Justice Society of America.
Yes, and approaching the headquarters of the JSA are the Flash, Power Girl, and Wildcat, who's being carried by Power Girl. Flash speeding along the ground. Power Girl is saying, Is this it, Wildcat? Down there? Well, what do you think it is, girlie? Howard Johnson's?
Meet the Flash, Earth 2's favorite Scarlet Speedster. Wildcat, the former world heavyweight boxing champ with the superhero complex. And Power Girl, the newest member of the newly formed Super Squad.
As the Flash speeds in, we see that Wildcat and Power Girl have alighted. They're standing on the steps leading up to the brownstone. Wildcat's pointing at Power Girl saying, "Sweetheart, I've had it with you. For the past 20 minutes you bounced me around like a ping pong ball, and as if injury wasn't enough, now you gotta add insult. I told you, lady, nobody but a regular member of the JSA gets inside our HQ, and nobody means you."
I don't think she's hearing you, Wildcat,
says the Flash as he speeds behind the other two heroes, and he seems to dodge the stairs completely, vibrating through the wall of the building. Power Girl replies, "I certainly am not." And Flash continues,
Maybe you'd better give in, Ted. After all, this is an emergency.
Wildcat opens the door into the brownstone, ushering Power Girl into the building. She says, "Why, thank you, Wildcat. How kind." And Flash is thinking while this is going on,
Strange what tension can do to a man. Normally Ted Grant is one of the most easygoing men I know, but this situation has frazzled us all.
Power Girl moves into the building. Wildcat says, "Listen, chick, maybe we got off on the wrong foot." "Really?" "Yeah, for a broad, you're actually sorta..." "Wildcat, I am not a broad." And with a slam, Power Girl closes the door violently at Wildcat's face. Wildcat can only do an expression. Flash is crossed to some equipment. In the next panel, we see him looking at a video screen which shows Robin trying to do some good in South Africa, as the Flash observes.
Better let him inside, Power Girl. According to this live video report from Cape Town in South Africa, the JSA is in trouble. And if what you told me is true, the man responsible is Brainwave.
Some minutes later, the headquarters monitor screens show yet another picture. The JSA skyrocket blasting into outer space, with Flash and his two compatriots aboard, riding toward a meeting with Destiny.
Yes, we see the JSA skyrocket. It's not too inspiring. To be honest, it kind of looks like an oddly proportioned version of the Justice League satellite, to my eyes. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, it's weird. Absolutely, yes, it's very strange. Never seen this before.
Me neither.
Will we ever see it again?
Yes, who can say? Who can say? Stay tuned, listeners, in fact. We arrive at the top of page 5.
As for what Flash saw on the monitor screen, which was programmed to record the activities of the two sub-teams sent out last issue, maybe we should take a look for ourselves. Cape Town, South Africa, and the hero known to us as Robin, the ex-Teen Wonder.
Yes, we see Robin sort of hanging onto the door of a big red truck, which seems to be in motion, and has written on the side, "Danger Explosives." Well, that bodes well. Robin is holding on and saying,
"Easy, easy."
Then he leaps free as the truck continues to move. Robin runs off saying,
"There, I've done all I can. Aimed that dynamite truck toward the gas fissure. Set it to crash. Now all I can do is pray."
The name of another Take That song, given emphasis. Listeners, take a drink whenever I highlight the name of a Take That song being mentioned. Yes, the truck collides with its target with a massive crash, and then the next panel, which is sure to delight Kenny, we'll have to send him it, we see the name of an episode of Ncuti Gatwa's first season of Doctor Who, as there's a massive explosion. Boom! A delighted Robin exclaims,
"I did it! The truck's explosion closed off the fissure. Now that deadly Freon can't..."
Of course, remember listeners, there was all that deadly Freon gas coming out of the hole in the ground. That's what Robin has been dealing with here. And indeed, we can see in this wide screen panel a lot of damage to the city. We can see Dr. Fate and Green Lantern stretched out on the ground. They look very small. To my eyes, it's a couple of children dressed as Dr. Fate and Green Lantern. The explosion has gone off, the truck has gone up, but we can still see a bit of a cloud coming out with a bit of a sound effect, and Robin says,
"Huh? The fissure's gone, but the gas is still escaping? That's flat out impossible."
He gets a dramatic close-up in the first panel of page 6, as he thinks,
"There's an explanation, but it's crazy. Unfortunately, I've only got one way to check it out. Step 1, remove the nose filters I put on after the gas knocked out Dr. Fate and Green Lantern.
And he does so.
Step 2, take a deep breath and pretend this air is crystal clean."
Of course, Deep Breath was the name of Peter Capaldi's first episode. This is going to be Kenny's favourite episode of the Earth 2 podcast. Robin steps forward. His thoughts continue.
"If I'm wrong, I've got 10 seconds before..."
And then he stops and throws his arms up into the air in celebration as he cries.
"Ha! Who says deductive reasoning is old hat? Any gas fissure which can't be closed by a dynamite explosion isn't a gas at all. It's an illusion."
And the next panel, out of nowhere, a handful of men dressed in orange gold sort of trunks and, I want to say armour, but just sort of all-in-one pieces with gold armour helmets, burst out of nowhere. One leaps down, grabs Robin by the neck as another rushes forward saying,
"Good for you, brain boy."
One of his pals says, "You can take that bit of logic with you to hell." Now there's a sentence even saying take that.
Yes.
Good. What's going on? Robin is as puzzled as I am because he yells,
"What?"
And then he starts, inevitably, to fight back, throwing out punches and with walks and bram sound effects as he sends these goons flying as he says,
Okay, fellas, break it up. Whoever you are, you may have caught me by surprise, but I don't stay surprised for long.
Off camera, we hear a voice saying, "Hold it right there, Robin, before you do something you may later regret. You're making a mistake, son." And we see a green beam of light shining over the lads that Robin was just fighting. And instead of seeing men in golden armour, we see what look like younger men just in normal street clothes. Robin says,
Another illusion.
In the next panel, Green Lantern and Dr. Fate join him, with GL continuing. "Afraid so, friend. When you busted up that last gas illusion, it must have broken a spell of some sort."
Hardly a spell, Green Lantern. More like a psychic compulsion, which means our enemy is Brainwave.
And so says the Wonder Wizard himself. Worth pointing out that Green Lantern makes mention of busted there. Now, first panel of page 7 has a caption.
Brainwave. That name does keep turning up, doesn't it? For example, on another monitor screen, this one programmed for Seattle, Washington.
Yes, we see Hawkman bearing Dr. Fate through the air, with the Winged Wonder saying,
"The quake seems to be dying down, Midnight. Maybe the worst is over."
Suddenly, out of nowhere, it's a whole bunch of those guys in golden armour we just saw attacking Robin. Hawkman says,
"And then again, maybe not. Brace yourself, Doctor, we're under attack."
and these goons seem to have jetpacks and guns, with one of them pointing a weapon at the heroes and saying,
Brainwave commands for your interference. You must die. Ugh!
And he's going, because Hawkman's just punched him. Dr. Midnight, at this point, enters the conversation, saying, "Apparently we're outnumbered, Hawkman, which means it's time for my blackout bomb." And with a fa-toom, he sets one of the bombs off. His thoughts continue. "Especially since my position grows more precarious with each moment. Hawkman needs his arms free to battle, so if I can just transfer myself to his leg," which he does, moving his hand from around Hawkman's right arm to grab a hold of Hawkman's right foot. But then, "No! I slipped! I'm falling!" cries Dr. Midnight as he falls away from Hawkman, who's been set upon by 4 of the armoured goons. Oh my goodness!
We'll return to the plummeting Dr. Midnight in a second. Right now, let's jump backward in time several minutes and join the sky-spanning Star-Spangled Kid.
And we see Sylvester flying along, using the cosmic rod. Did I mention, listeners, that I got a page of original comic book art featuring the Star-Spangled Kid in the post the other day? Did I mention that? Or does it feature the Star-Spangled Kid? Aha. Send me a DM and I'll tell you. As he floats along, Star-Spangled Kid is thinking, "I've got to do something. But what?" He gets a nice close-up at the top of page 8 as he thinks, "With the cosmic rod Starman gave me, I should be able to do anything. If only I could think how to stop this earthquake, and..." He snaps his fingers. Got it! He flies a little higher in the next panel, thinking, "Back when I first appeared in this era," and a little asterisk takes to a caption that reads,
"Back in JLA 102, Jer."
or indeed, as Peter always says at this point,
Or indeed the previous episodes of our podcast.
Sylvester's thoughts continue. "I spent a lot of time reading, trying to catch up in the world. There was this article on earthquakes, how they're caused by faults in the Earth's crust. What I have to do is reach deep into one of the largest, and once I'm there, use my cosmic rod to start a counterquake vibration." And we see him flying down towards a chasm, which has obviously been opened by the earthquake. And deep down, we hear a nice big... as he starts the counter vibration. Then he starts to fly up again, thinking, "And then I've got to get out, before the crack snaps shut with me inside." Dynamic shot of SSK looking very concerned, holding the rod in front of him as he flies upwards. In the first panel of page 9, there is a massive sound effect as the 2 halves of the chasm close, and thank goodness, Star-Spangled Kid manages to escape.
The kid has scarcely a moment to catch his breath before...
He looks up and sees, Doc Midnight falling, and indeed, Dr. Midnight is plummeting towards him.
Instinctively, the kid throws himself through the air, and...
There's a violent collision as Dr. Midnight collides, as Star-Spangled Kid manages to catch him.
Then, after a hasty but revealing conference...
Yes, we see Star-Spangled Kid flying along, using the cosmic rod to carry Dr. Midnight behind them. Sylvester is saying, "So you and Hawkman were playing Guardian Angel. wanting to see if I could handle a crisis on my own. Thanks, Doc. Since you've got such faith in me, you can just stay on that light platform I've created with my rod and leave the fighting to the Star-Spangled Kid. And panel 5 of page 9 is basically just a big fight. We can see Hawkman dishing out punches and kicks with some lovely
Pow!
and
Fuck!
sound effects as the golden-garbed goons lose helmets and drop guns, and further down the panel we can see Star-Spangled Kid and Dr. Midnight throwing fists around too. Hawkman is thinking,
Maybe Midnight and I were wrong about the kid. The way he handles himself, his entire attitude. He doesn't seem like a boy trapped in a world he doesn't understand.
Page 9 rounds out with a panel of the Star-Spangled Kid zapping one of the goons with the cosmic rod as the goon cries, "Yeah!" And a tiny caption tells us we're continued on the 5th page following. We pass an advertisement for superhero stick-ons for some tabloids. Ooh! Full-size advertisement for Superman versus the Amazing Spider-Man. Yes, listeners, that'll be coming very soon. Well, not very soon, but we'll be getting to it. Now we pass another full-page Justice for All includes Children Peace Neil Adams to arrive at the top of page 10 as Hawkman's thoughts continue.
But after all, such things are hard to judge. The Star-Spangled Kid was born to another age, the 1950s, when life was simpler, perhaps less complex. Yet because of a bizarre accident, he's been thrust into our time. And what effect that may have on his mind, no one can truly say.
Interesting how Hawkman quotes the 1991 single by Marillion, No One Can. That's a fun spot, isn't it? Right, and while Hawkman's thoughts are going on, we see Dr. Midnight punching out goons, Sylvester using the cosmic rod to zap some more goons.
Hawkman's musing breaks off, for clearly the battle has come to an end. And now it's time to learn the meaning of it all.
We see Dr. Midnight grabbing the tunic of one of the golden-armoured jetpacked bad guys, saying, "We want answers, my friend, and we want them quickly. You mentioned the name when you attacked us, Brainwave. Is he the man who sent you? I'm warning you. Speak the truth. I can tell if you're lying." And we kind of get a point-of-view shot for Dr. Midnight here. It's like an infrared shot of the bad guy and his vibes. It's all very Daredevil. The bad guy says,
Yeah, Brainwave's our boss.
"Interesting," says Dr. Midnight, and he gets a nice close-up to round out page 10 as he thinks, "I can see by the man's infrared pattern that he's serious." But that just raises another question. What on earth is Brainwave doing? And why?
The answer to that question, Dr. Midnight, lies not on Earth, and not on a JSA monitor, but above our planet, aboard Brainwave's orbital satellite, where even now the madman's plans blossom to grim fruition.
Right, there's quite a lot going on here. We can see some marvellously detailed scientific equipment dotted around the room. There's a large chair in the centre of the room with a device hanging above it, which is generating pink electricity, which is firing down towards the chair, striking it. And sat in the chair is the little man dressed in brown who we met earlier on. This chap is saying, "This machine of yours, Brainwave, will it return the energies I've lost?"
Friend, you offend me. What else have my efforts been for, but to gain for you that strength of will you lost so many years ago after our last defeat? When I found you 2 months ago, you were a broken man, a derelict in a Bowery mission shattered by your so-called failures.
It's a nice rounded effect to the panel here as we see a building with a sign written on it that says Skid Row Mission, free soup. I could go some free soup, listeners. We can see Brainwave in the gear that he's wearing at the moment, talking to this little Sylvester McCoy lookalike standing outside the building. Brainwave's thoughts resume.
Yet, despite the fact that I've changed, you remembered me, and I remembered you.
Yes, we see Brainwave and a little chap in brown in conversation with a little man in brown saying, "Injustice Society, the Wizard, Fiddler, Vandal, Savage."
And you, my friend, you, perhaps the greatest of them all.
So long ago, so far away. Everything's different now. Much weaker. Dying. Help me, please. Help me. With that, Brainwave lifts up the poor unfortunate. You can see that he's very small and very frail. Brainwave, however, big and strong, says,
I'll help you, friend. And when I'm finished, once more the world will shake at the name of Degaton, greatest genius of all time.
And we see the figure in the chair, continuing to be struck by the bursts of pink electricity, has suddenly changed. He's grown taller, stronger. He looks younger, more vital. His clothes have changed. His whole look. The scruffy beard has gone. He has short, dark hair. He's wearing a purple, very tight-fitting top with a weird gold collar festooned with nice little studs all around, and he laughs manically. Ha 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 ha! And, as we arrive at the top of page 12, past a couple of very interesting adverts, including one for the DC calendar for 1976 and a Batman glider plane and all sorts of things. A Super Friends car, a Batman battery-operated toothbrush. $5.95, that's a fortune. This newly described Degaton, who quite frankly doesn't look like the guy I remember from his appearances in All-Star Comics previously, shakes hands with Brainwave saying, "Brainwave, you did it! But you still haven't told me how."
It was nothing, old friend. By creating images of disasters interspersed with real disasters predicted by my computers, I forced the JSA into active situations where I could use my machines to drain their will energy.
And then feed it into me. Brilliant, Brainwave, though I don't understand why you chose to involve those young heroes. Somehow and he breaks off because there is a massive boom sound effect, and it looks as though, well, very helpfully, Degaton, if it is him, says, "The wall, buckling from outside." Yet the wall is swelling inwards, as Brainwave cries,
"Someone's breaking in from outer space!"
Two blue-fisted gloves shatter the wall of the satellite, breaking in, and there is a massive heralding the arrival of Power Girl, who punches Degaton, sending him flying as she says, "Not quite, Brainwave, though it'd serve you right. The JSA skyrocket is on the other side of that hole, together with," and we see, coming up behind her, entering into the satellite, two of the other heroes who Brainwave very kindly announces for us.
Wildcat and the Flash!
As the two heroes burst into the satellite, Brainwave starts zinging pink brain energy around, saying,
"I don't know how you tracked me, Flash, nor do I care."
And with that, Brainwave starts zinging around bursts of pink brain energy as Flash ducks out the way, thinking,
Brainwave's changed. He's taller, stronger. How on earth?
Brainwave continues,
"I'll be more than satisfied with your destruction, if not by my psychic blast, then by Degaton's super brain."
In the background, we see that Degaton has recovered enough to climb inside a weird metallic apparatus which he seems to have to hold around the top of his legs. It fires a burst of energy at the Flash as Degaton says, "It's the work of an instant, transforming this communications laser into a stasis ray. Mere child's play for a mind as advanced as mine." And it also zaps out, striking Power Girl. So that's the Flash and Power Girl both down. Degaton continues, "Naturally, the beam also functions as a force field, but you've already discovered that, haven't you, Power Girl?" And with that, Brainwave strikes Wildcat with a burst of brain energy, and Wildcat goes down too.
Excellent, Degaton, excellent! We've beaten them in less than 50 seconds. With your aid, I can achieve anything, even my ultimate ambition.
There's a sudden burst of green energy, and with a sound effect, the Star-Spangled Kid, Green Lantern, maddeningly with his ring on his right hand, Dr. Midnight, Robin, Hawkman and Dr. Fate arrive in the room. Hawkman saying,
"Maybe you'd care to tell us about your ultimate ambition, Brainwave, after you're locked away nice and tight in prison."
The Flash, who's obviously recovered from being struck by Degaton, cries,
"Hawkman!"
and Hawkman continues,
"Hope we haven't arrived too late, partner. Traffic was kind of heavy."
Wildcat, also recovering now, sits up saying, "Man, now this is what I call a cavalry charge. You guys must have seen the stuff in the monitors, then popped up here on JL's green beam, right?" As Power Girl, also recovering, says, "Who cares why they're here, Wildcat? The fact is, they are here. And Degaton is already trying to destroy them, this time with an animated statue from Brainwave's collection of art." I'd forgotten about Brainwave's collection of art.
There we are.
Remember Brainwave's collection of art last week, listeners? I hope we put a panel of it in the socials to help. I was starting to worry if this was going to be a Defenders 39 situation. We can see that Dr. Midnight is exchanging blows with an animated statue of a Greek god-type figure that's come to life.
Bam!
Power Girl leaps forward towards Degaton, saying, "Well, maybe I'm not as strong as my cousin Superman, but I'm still 10 times as strong as any mere man, and I won't let my friends be—"
"Lady, look out! Brainwave's knocking me through the air! Can't stop myself before I—"
Bit of simultaneous action here, listeners, as Power Girl leapt for Degaton and knocked his equipment away. Brainwave had grabbed Robin, using a mental blast, and directed him so that he collided with Power Girl. It makes sense if you read it. In the next panel, Degaton has whipped up another device, and he's firing it towards Hawkman, saying, "Thanks for the breather, Brainwave. It's given me a chance to quickly tinker together another weapon, this sonic cannon, which should prove most effective." And as a weird sound effect, and radiating waves of sound strike Hawkman, who looks obviously to be in great pain. In the first panel of page 15, a recovered Robin points at the bad guys, saying,
Friends, we're getting nowhere fast. From the start, Brainwave's had us on the defensive. It's time we reversed roles. Now!
With that, Robin, Power Girl, and the Star-Spangled Kid all leap towards Brainwave, who laughs and says,
You fools! You sorry fools! Don't you understand? This game is futile. During the years of my imprisonment, I trained my mind to reach levels of power you can never comprehend.
Brainwave fires out a couple more bursts of pink energy which send Power Girl and Star-Spangled Kid flying.
With my mind alone, I can toss you like leaves in a wind. With my mind alone, I can do anything, even upset the orbit of the Earth itself.
At that, Brainwave turns away. We see him looking at a piece of equipment which has a screen on it showing the Earth. A little burst of jagged pink energy comes from his headband and strikes the equipment as he says,
By activating the controls in that computer, I've set off a gravity displacement beam, one which will send the Earth hurtling into space far from the sun, unless you submit to my will immediately.
Dr. Fate, Power Girl and Green Lantern are seen looking up at the screen showing the Earth as Power Girl says, Green Lantern, is it possible? Can someone do that? I'm no scientist, miss, but if anyone can, it's Brainwave. Look at the change he's already made in himself.
Whirling, the Emerald Crusader swings up his hand and sends a burst of green fire toward the transformed madman.
Yep. From his right hand, make a note, listeners, burst of green energy from Alan's power ring fires towards Brainwave, but we see in the background that Degaton has got another piece of equipment which is generating a little burst of white energy which has surrounded Brainwave.
But...
And Green Lantern exclaiming, No good! He's protected by Degaton's force field! In the next panel, we see that Dr. Midnight's down for the count on the ground, so are Star-Spangled Kid and Robin. Only Power Girl, Green Lantern and Dr. Fate standing, but it looks as though Hawkman is starting to get to his feet. Dr. Fate addresses Power Girl and Green Lantern.
My friends, the situation is grim. We seem to have two options. Submission or the destruction of our world.
GL says, There's still one thing I can't shake loose of, Doc. Brainwave's new body. Somehow, I keep thinking it's the key to this whole insanity. Power Girl says at this point, If it is GL, we certainly don't have the knowledge to use it.
Really, young woman? I wonder.
Something in the masked man's tone makes his two companions pause, and when they've listened to his next words, they act, each in his own inimitable fashion.
And with that, we see Power Girl flying up into the air, and Green Lantern gesturing with his power ring on his right hand, Dr. Fate gesturing, a burst of golden energy, and both of these energy blasts, if you like, connecting with Power Girl, giving her a combined green and yellow aura.
Driven by Green Lantern's remorseless beam, protected by a mystic spell, Power Girl bursts from Brainwave's satellite into the vicious cold of outer space. What she does next is a feat which the Supergirl of Earth-1 would find almost ridiculously simple. Slowly straining every nerve and muscle, she throws herself against the satellite, shoving it sunward away from the green globe of Earth. And since she is not the Supergirl of Earth-1, her act is the act of a heroine, perhaps the greatest of all time.
Yeah, say we see caption continuing basically as we see Power Girl moving the satellite through space, and with some very nice cosmic-looking artwork actually for panel 3, page 17. The captioning resumes.
And within the rapidly overheating spacecraft, certain startling changes are already beginning to occur, as the face-saving illusion created by Brainwave to conceal his terrible ugliness begins to break down.
Yeah, this is a cracking panel. We see the Flash lying unconscious in the foreground. We see Degaton tipping forward. Looks like his face is melting. We see equipment starting to melt and dissolve. But significantly, most significantly in the background, we see Brainwave shifting and changing from the big muscle-bound figure in red and blue to a small bald man with glasses and a white scientific smock. And then we see Green Lantern obviously struggling from the heat as the satellite moves towards the sun, saying, So, that's it. Knew there was an answer. Brainwave wanted Degaton to build him a body, and in the meantime hid himself in an illusion of physical glory. But the dream's over now, right, Dr. Fate? Fate? Before Dr. Fate answers, we get a shot of Brainwave, all baldy and glassy in his white smock, lying on the floor as the equipment in the satellite continues to melt all around them. Dr. Fate then replies to GL.
I hear you, compatriot. At the moment I have less concern for the past than for the present. Our victory here will be a Pyrrhic one, unless Power Girl manages to lift us from the sun's gravitational well again. Yet, I think...
And Green Lantern can be heard saying, "She's done it, Fate! She's done it!"
Indeed she has, GL. Indeed she has.
I mean, an external view of the satellite as Power Girl flies it through space away from the sun, and there's a bit of a slow dissolve.
Epilogue.
And we see the heroes all standing around: Hawkman, Flash, Star-Spangled Kid, Wildcat, Power Girl, Robin, Green Lantern, Dr. Midnight. Wildcat standing behind the three youngsters, as it were, supportively, big arm round them all, saying, "You know, kids, now that Brainwave and his pals are back in the lockup, maybe we should give this Super Squad thing of yours a real tryout. The way it looks to me, it's just possible you youngsters can learn something from us old pros, seeing as how you're still wet behind the ears." Power Girl turns to him, saying, "Wet behind where? It seems like you're forgetting something, Wildcat. Like, who put out Brainwave's Chinese volcano? Who closed up the Seattle earthquake? Who uncovered the geyser illusion? Who pushed the..." And as everyone laughs, a grumpy-looking Wildcat concedes, "Ah, nuts. Kids today just ain't got no respect." And a caption reads,
Fini.
and then another caption reads,
Next issue on sale during the third week in February.
yes, and we'll get to that eventually because there's quite a lot of other stuff to do in the meantime. It's worth pointing out, of course, that Brainwave's Chinese Volcano sounded like the sort of band that might have supported menswear at, say, perhaps Manchester Uni or Leeds Cockpit or the Liverpool Lomax back in the day. And the Geyser Illusion, that also sounds like
The Geyser Illusion opened for Peter Frampton, I think, on his list.
I've seen Peter Frampton twice.
Mm.
I think, right, if I remember the right way around, I think first of all was the ABC in Glasgow, and then the second time was at the Royal Concert Hall, and my friend Robert and I were in the front row of the circle, and it was quite warm, and I fell asleep.
Wow.
Yep.
So, for you, Frampton didn't come alive?
Yes, it was the opposite. But the thing is, it was all very cosy and warm and lovely, and I was just tuning out, listening to it, and I was like, just fell asleep for a few moments. But such is life. I'll need to see if I can find the ticket stub and maybe I'll post it in the socials this week. Right, so I'll just get my one tiny Davy complaint out the way.
Your one, if you get ready, listeners, here we go.
Cover shows the statue guy punching out the Flash and grabbing Power Girl, but we only see him briefly tussling with Dr. Midnight. There you go.
There you go. I thought you were just going to go into a big, massive rage all about Green Lantern's ring being in his right hand throughout the entire issue, including on the cover.
We'll have to watch for that, because if you quickly looking ahead, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's on his right hand in the cover of issue 61. We'll just have to monitor this, listeners. We'll just monitor it. So every time Jay's hat gets knocked off, or every time Alan's ring is on his right hand, you're allowed to take a drink.
There we are.
Thoughts then, Peter?
We're going to get very drunk reading this series. Yes, so an awful lot happens in this. Very little of it makes sense, but it's still a rip-roaring read. It's still cracking entertainment. We still don't really know how Power Girl knew it was Brainwave from the end of the last issue.
Oh, that's true.
She turns up and says, "It's Brainwave and I know everything that's happening everywhere." Yeah, how did she know where Brainwave's satellite was? Did we get that?
I don't think we did.
I don't think we got anything explaining that. They just decided to fly off into space. There's no clue as to where Brainwave's satellite was. Very peculiar. The illusions were interesting. Obviously, the idea of like building up this energy that somehow Brainwave can harness with a combination of actual disasters and the the Super Squad using their energies to tackle the illusions, so using a combination of that to fuel Degaton.
Yeah.
Very peculiar, but okay, comic book logic will allow that, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good, fun, exciting read. I have to say, It didn't send me into rapture quite as much as last week's episode did. It's fun to see everyone in action as the stars of their own comic. Mm-hmm. Quite used to that nowadays, even though there's a big long gap in the days of the New 52 and before Rebirth get stuff sorted. We've had a couple of JSA ongoing series in the last year or two, which hasn't been the case for a very long time. Uh-huh. But you're right, there is a massive amount of leaps of faith and deduction, etc., from Power Girl and from everyone else. It still feels like we might get an explanation for this, but I don't know. Maybe I'll have to wait until Roy writes something in All-Star Squadron that does it. But
or will Roy just totally ignore this and just write his own thing completely?
I mean, there's some really good stuff. Like, the artwork is gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah.
I like the construction of page 8 with Sylvester flying down into the earthquake sort of chasm and then try and get back out in time.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
really,
up
really
the
good.
fissure, yeah.
It's quite an exciting moment when Robin aims that truck, and it's quite an exciting moment when Dr. Fate falls, and that isn't resolved straight away, obviously.
Yeah, and again, that's, for the second time in a month, we've got a hero catching someone plummeting from the sky, because obviously the Earth 1 Wildcat caught that other boxer in Showdown in San Lorenzo from a couple of weeks ago.
That's right. And I liked how Dr. Midnight's plight was sort of left, pardon the dreadful phrasing, was left hanging for a couple of pages, whilst even more jeopardy was sort of brought in for Sylvester.
Yeah.
It's very, very well put together. It does rattle along. It does feel occasionally like, scenes missing or whatever, but
yeah,
it's a little maddening that we don't really get privy, to Power Girl's thoughts to how she,
Is it just her super senses? Are we supposed to take that?
I don't know.
Sorry, another take that reference there.
Yes.
Are we supposed to take that from it?
Take it on faith. We'll have to wait and see if that plays out any further. I don't think it will, but it's worth noting, definitely.
Dr. Midnight actually was... I don't understand the whole thing with him and Hawkman here, because why didn't Hawkman just put him down on top of a building?
Yeah.
At some point, rather than still fly around the city holding him, at some point you think, we're getting on a bit. Let's just relax it a bit. It's a nice skyscraper here. We can watch the Star Spangled Kid do his thing, and we're close enough to jump in if he needs a hand. But to be just flying about at a distance watching him, let's face it, Midnight moves from his arm, crawls down his body to hang on to his leg.
To his foot even, yeah.
Yeah, when he sets off his blackout bomb, Hawkman's enveloped in the blackout bomb as well. He can't see in the dark. What's that about? It's not very well thought out, Chuck, I'll be honest.
Jeopardy's the word for it. I agree, it would have been much easier just to, I don't know, maybe he didn't want to make Dr. Midnight feel he wasn't contributing, I don't know, but it would be a bit more sensible, a bit less health and safety, just to kind of maybe fly a little closer to the ground, at least. I don't know.
Well, last week we had the Flash abandon Wildcat to go and deal with the volcano, and Wildcat had to chase after him in a stolen motorbike.
Yeah,
so
this is true.
The pairings of the heroes, it's just how it's worked out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it could have been a bit more even. I don't know. I just felt that Dr. Midnight was more of a liability here. Although his ability to see if someone's lying or not, that's new.
Yes.
I don't remember that from before.
No, I don't remember seeing that anywhere else either. It's a cracking pattern. I mean, there's a lot of really good stuff in here. I like the way the sort of dialogue and captioning interweaves around the action, and the visual storytelling of it is done very, very well. I hope we've sort of done it justice with the telling, but I'm sure most listeners were reading along because these were reprinted widely by now. It's a very well put together comic. It's very, very satisfying.
Yeah.
Very dynamic and fast moving. We have to invoke our good friend, the Irredeemable Shag, and just sort of quickly say that Power Girl looks incredible. There we go, we've said it, we can move on. But I'm really intrigued by the shift in form of Degaton. Because we see him outside the Skid Row mission, and he doesn't look anything like the sort of stocky, built, red-haired chap who features in a couple of stories in the past. Now, you've read them recently, haven't you? The two Golden Age stories he appeared in.
Yeah, and they are phenomenal. The first one is probably Roy Thomas's favourite Golden Age story, the way he kept on going back to Degaton. It's from All-Star 35, and it is incredible. It's written by John Broome, and it is wonderful. It's the classic story that we'll hear several times of Degaton in 1947 shooting Professor Z, who's invented this time machine, stealing the time machine, and basically trying to take over the world. And in that story, Degaton, well, first of all, he gets a criminal gang together, as you do, with a baldy chap called Kale as his number one, who I think actually might turn up in All-Star Squadron. I can't remember offhand, but I've got a suspicion that he does. Anyway, he basically decides to change events in the past. You find out eventually it's the Battle at Alexandria, I think it is, that changes events in the past so that certain technology is wiped out of existence and only he remembers how to make it. But what's fascinating is the timeline doesn't change all at once. Things start to change, like a normal train goes into a tunnel and it comes out as a steam engine through the other side. There's a scene where Degaton invades whatever city he's in, City Hall, and confronts the mayor. The mayor goes into his drawer, pulls out a revolver, and it changes into a flintlock in front of him. It's really cool because it's coming over in waves. You can see the change come over gradually, and Degaton remembers how to make this stuff, and he thinks that basically will make him ruler of the world because he's got the knowledge of how to do all this sort of stuff. And he encounters all the JSAers kind of one at a time, and they're all kind of like defeated. The last one is Green Lantern, And Degaton's plan is to basically, he captures Green Lantern, puts him into the time machine, and his plan is to send the time machine into the far future where it'll explode with Green Lantern in it.
Mm-hmm.
But the time machine malfunctions and it only goes 10 years into the future, so it basically ends up in 1957. And when GL comes out, he's met by the alternate timeline 1957 JSAers, who are all haggard and defeated. Some of their powers aren't working properly. The Flash's super speed doesn't work properly because some of the science it was based on is gone. And the time machine is destroyed, right? But GL has got enough residual energy in his ring to take them back to the battle and change it and set history back in its natural course. So when you think about it, the only real JSAer from the original timeline in that battle was Green Lantern.
Yeah, you'd almost expect Green Lantern to comment on the difference in his appearance then, wouldn't you?
You would think so, yeah. But what's funny about this story is it's all told in flashback as Wonder Woman is like looking at her, what's the thing, Mystic Shield?
Sure. Yeah, I know the thing you mean.
I can't remember what it's called, but yeah. And all the JSA are standing around watching this. So all those stories that basically everyone forgets about Per Degaton and who he is and what he does each time he travels in time isn't true, because obviously they remember their first encounter with him because they watched it on this time viewer on this magical device. Anyway, Degaton's defeated. Basically, his mind is wiped of all this. Time has righted itself again, and he wakes up in 1947 as assistant to Professor Z, who's alive as normal. And again, no one's got any memory of this apart from the JSA. Cut to 2 issues later, and suddenly Degaton's back as part of the Injustice Society. No explanation given, no mention of time travel, no mention of his previous encounter with the JSA. It just seems to be kind of a gang boss, almost. Okay. He has basically a lot of henchmen with him. No mention of any kind of like super science that he knows, as in this. And as you said, he's a short guy in like a leather outfit with vibrant red hair. And he looks absolutely nothing like this guy. This guy looks like a Legion of Supervillains reject. Mm-hmm. He's kind of got the cropped black hair, and it's like, is it Dev-M who's got that kind of collar?
Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly. I mean, it's a very generic looking design. At least, as we say, new version of Brainwave looks like he could be from, New Genesis or something.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see if, when, where, etc. Degaton pops up again.
Yes.
And if there's any reference made to this different appearance that he's got in this sort of story. I liked how still a definite shift that Power Girl, Robin, and Star Spangled Kid are not integrated. There's still a slight generation gap, despite the fact, as we've said, Robin is going to be well into his 40s by now. That's still quite interesting. And also the reference to Sylvester being from the 50s. He's born into the 50s when he was, obviously, as we know, he was active during the 40s, but that suggests it was the 50s when the Seven Soldiers were sent scattered all over the place. So that's another interesting thing just to sort of note.
Absolutely. Another thing is, Dr. Fate had nothing to do in this story, considering he's probably the most powerful one there. He literally had nothing to do. And how the JSAers knew they were all up in this satellite and where to find it, that just seemed a bit out of nowhere again. The rest of them coming up to join them, it's so bizarre.
It's a bit sloppy, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Wildcat's explanation, you must have seen it in the monitors. Yeah, but how?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, maybe were they able to tune in on the other JSA? I don't know.
Yeah. Have they got location devices on? Actually, yeah, they might have GSA signal devices or something similar.
Or maybe they can lock into their, pardon the expression, their brainwaves. I'm not sure. It's a bit...
Wow.
It's a wee bit first draft, isn't it? It's a wee bit just go with the flow and you'll be fine. It's a wee bit Russell T Davies, Doctor Who season finale.
Yes, I was going to say that earlier on, actually.
To be very topical.
Yes.
We record, listeners, a few days after the broadcast of the Reality War. Now, if you're remotely interested in my thoughts, I'll refer you to the Power of 3 Doctor Who podcast, etc. Yes, I think not quite as satisfying as issue 58.
No.
A few questions, but still great fun and brilliant artwork from Hollywood, I think. It rattles along. There's some really nice panel structures and layouts.
I wonder if that was Rick Estrada that did the layouts, because obviously, it's...
Yeah, when it's an odd credit, isn't it? Designer.
Yeah.
So maybe he just did the roughs or whatever, I'm not sure.
Could be. I've got to say, before we move on to the letters, that the very final panel is very Star Trek, the original series. It's the laugh in the bridge at the end, isn't it?
It's very Scooby-Doo, yeah.
Yeah.
Wildcat being made the butt of everyone's joke. We'll have to take a drink every time that happens going forward.
I've got a feeling we are definitely going to be very, very drunk.
Yeah. So, listeners, if you'd like to grab your copy of issue 61, you can read along with us. The first letter goes like this. Dear Jerry, as 59th issues go, All-Star Comics number 59 was pretty darn good. But all kidding aside, it was an issue to remember. What I personally enjoyed most was Power Girl's indignation at being called a broad by Wildcat. Very seldom do you see a heroine stand up for her rights. I guess her rights include getting knocked around in fights too, since she was slowed by force fields or Robin 3 times. On top of that, she had to push a spaceship. She should put in for overtime. Otherwise, Jerry, the writing was superb. Everything flowed together, building suspense all through the issue and climaxing with perfection. In the future, when rotating the lineup, don't omit Hawkman. Tradition is tradition, you know, and that's from Mike White, Mackinac, Illinois. Steve, get the atlas and the roadmap out and go and find a sign.
Editorial response is, traditions are made to be broken. That's what innovation is all about. So Hawkman broke his all-star record by disappearing from last issue.
Oh, spoilers.
Yes.
Jinx.
Proving that every superhero is occasionally called away from his regular duties. But don't worry, Winged Wonder fans, he's back this time round and will be remaining a steady star of ASC.
Gosh.
And the second and final letter in this letter column says, Dear Jerry, in your attempt not to confuse readers, you've left me very confused. You tell us that the Justice Society can no longer be called the Justice Society because it will conflict with the Justice League. Instead, Earth 2 superheroes will be called
The Super Squad.
But then you turn right round and plaster the Justice Society name on the cover. And when I turn to the first page, I see the group billed as
The All-Star Super Squad.
You've really got my mind reeling. Do Robin, the Star-Spangled Kid and Power Girl constitute the Super Squad, while the others are still considered the Justice Society? And when they join forces, are they dubbed the All-Star Super Squads? All-Star Comics 59 was nothing if not the perfect second half of a perfect story. The Estrada Wood artwork is so in keeping with the proper style and mood of this series, and the script was a nicely balanced scenario in which the Justice Society was able to play out its new origin tale with the proper slow and tedious scenes in which the various heroes must discuss their reasons for joining forces. Yet this didn't detract from the flow of action and suspense, which gave this tale its fast-paced and cleverly handled plot. And that's from Scott Gibson, Evergreen, Colorado.
Oh, we've not had a letter from Scott Gibson in a very long time. Lovely.
Very true.
Good. Hello, Scott, if you're listening. Editorial response, very short and sweet, says, we consider the Super Squad to be the combination of the two teams. An all-star Super Squad is just a handy way of working the magazine's title into the stories. Right, fair. Okay, if you insist.
Okay.
Listeners, that's what the contemporary correspondents thought of issue 59 of All-Star Comics.
However, what did you think about it? You can email us and let us know at theearth2podcast@gmail.com. Make sure you follow us on social media because we're putting up some lovely bonus material for this and indeed every episode. On Facebook, Instagram and Blue Sky, we're at the Earth 2 Podcast. And on Twitter, we're at podcast_Earth2. And it is the number 2 for all of our socials.
Listeners, if you enjoy what we do, please consider going to wherever it is you receive your podcasts and leaving us a positive review. That would be very kind. Or you could make your way to our Linktree page, find our coffee page and buy Peter the price of a beverage as he edits out all of my fluffs from the recording of this episode to render it absolutely perfect and streamlined and flawless and beautiful. A bit like Peter himself.
On that bombshell. I've been Peter.
I've been David. We'll see you again very soon on
The Earth 2 Podcast.
Transmatter Cube activated. Return coordinates set for Earth Prime. But above our planet, aboard Brainwave's order...
Brainwave's Chinese volcano.
I had a lovely chicken ham fried rice at Brainwave's Chinese Volcano.